Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 110. We got Big Box Steve on the mic, got the Big Smooth and Fresh West. We got the whole crew tonight, and we are talking NBA playoffs, general sports. Of course, we'll give you a fun top five. So thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like. And if you listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Anchor no more. Thanks for listening. All right, well. It's been a little bit, so let's talk playoffs a little bit here, NBA style. So let's go back a little bit because the last time we chatted and we were on the podcast, the we were Knicks were finishing up with their series with the Pacers, and Dallas was beating. See who Dallas beat? They beat.
No, I think Dallas was done. It was
Yeah,
we had
Dallas was done,
Timberwolves.
and Minnesota was beating Denver.
Yeah.
So, getting into that, I mean, just let's talk Denver or Dallas, Minnesota. Before tonight's game, they got to 3-0 Dallas, right? Like, was that expected? Like, what were you guys thinking up to that point?
I mean, if was it expected? No, but it should have been. Because if history states you don't have um young teams just go first time to the playoffs, fly through and make it to the finals.
Right.
You have to have growing pains. It's happened. I mean, look at history wise. No team really does that.
Yeah, so ahead of this, let's, just scoot back, not knowing what we did now, though. Would either of you have put Dallas up 3-0, though?
No.
No, no, I wouldn't.
Not with Minnesota being the home, right? I wouldn't either. Like, you're going to go lose your first two games at home. But when you think about those games, so two of the games for sure, in my opinion, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I think Minnesota, and maybe it is that youngness of a team, they threw away two games. I mean, everybody talks about that Luka shot, right? So Luka hits that big shot, what became a game winner. But look at the two possessions before that. I mean, it's basically two Minnesota turnovers when they're up five.
Yeah.
So they should be 2-1. They could have been 2-1, not should have been, but it's always could have been. So there's a little bit of inexperience, and I think that's a good point you made. So right now, 3-1. So Timberwolves win tonight, not convincingly, still look kind of shaky at the end of the game. We know what the odds say, what are the odds that a team comes back 3-0 to win?
Never tell us the odds, Steve. Never tell us the odds.
Do you guys know the number of playoff series that have been 3-0?
Oh,
That have come back and won? I think
well,
probably
no.
two
There's
or
just
three times.
not in the NBA.
Zero,
Baseball.
right? Well, zero
Bro.
come back and won, but out of
Yeah.
how many?
Like 140 something.
Yeah, 154 series.
Yeah. It's never
team-
happened in the NBA. It's happened in Major League Baseball.
Right.
That's it.
I think baseball, obviously, because they're the only one that also plays 7-game series, right?
Yeah.
So in 154 series that have gone 3-0 in NBA history, no team has ever come back from 3-0.
It's crazy.
That's a pretty staggering number.
You don't want to give this team any life, and they did give them life tonight. And
Right.
I had this feeling earlier in the day. I was talking to a friend, and he says, "I'm going to parlay. I'm going to do I'm picking Minnesota." And I go, "I can't disagree with you there because you know that eventually Ant's going to get off and Towns is going to hit his shots, and you already have Nas and, Conley and you got Pete it's evenly matched series. And
Yeah. Well, athletically too, right?
yeah. And so, that for one game, and that Luka's expended so much energy. So is Kyrie, because Kyrie's had to pick up the slack. You lose Lively the way they lost Lively. That kind of hurt them too.
That's a big loss, I think.
Yeah.
When you think about inside, because Minnesota should have the advantage in there.
Right.
And then without Lively, that gives them even more of an advantage, right?
Yeah. And, how many lobs has Dallas threw up to Lively and
Gafford?
Yeah, it's just, they're just throwing it down. And so, without him in the middle, rebounding, just being a presence, I think they need him back.
Yeah.
And
because you're playing Jones Jr. a lot now more, right? Who's not as good as Lively.
Yeah, and I certainly wouldn't want to lose game 5, because then you start feeling the pressure.
Right.
Then you come back for game 6 and it's like you almost have to win. And
because then you go to Minnesota for game 7.
Yeah, can you go to Minnesota? It's a tricky, all this talk all day on, of course.
That's still so only the finals is 2-3-2, right? All the other series
they changed it. No, it's 2-2-1-1-1.
Even in the finals?
Yep, they changed it. They changed it like 5 years. I always forget it too. They changed it like 5 years ago.
Well, that's why the playoffs go for like 100 years every year, because they have to be like, okay, now we got to take a few days for travel in between each.
Right. And so and you're going home to away.
Right.
Well, no, I think they're not all games aren't all 3-day rests. I think the games 3 and 4 is like 2.
Yeah. These are 2-day rests.
Yeah.
So they'll have a 3-day to game 5.
Yeah. And Boston's loving this. They want this because I still think Tatum's a little gassed, like he was when they played Golden State a couple years ago in the finals.
So here's a question I have for you guys. Is Minnesota a better team with Gobert off the floor and Nas Reed in?
I think they are, just because Nas can do so many things. He can stretch. He's still defensive presence. He gets inside. He can take the ball to the basket.
And he hits threes.
Yeah. And Gobert, it seems like everyone's trying to do matchups on the other end of the floor to get guys that basically he can't guard Luka. All the switching and stuff. I don't know what the stats are. I don't know what the data is on that. I'm surprised someone hasn't done that. Like, what's the efficiency with Gobert on the floor versus off versus Nas Reed?
I'd imagine it's better with Nas because Nas is a scorer on top of getting rebounds and things. But I don't know, when I watch them play, I like them better with Nas Reed and Cat playing the bigs.
Oh yeah, and for being defensive, because someone was talking about how defense. Who was talking about him being a liability? It's like, it's Ken Perkins. He said, I feel like an idiot every year voting him defensive MVP because it seems like he's a defensive liability in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of lobs, right? And this Dallas is converting
against the defensive player of the year.
You're the defensive player of the year. What is going on here, dude? They are just raining lobs.
You got to give Luka a little bit of credit for those because he's throwing some really good short lobs when he gets in the lane.
Oh, yeah. He's so good at it.
Yeah.
Because you think he's going to shoot. And I've seen a couple times where he kind of mishandles the ball and just throws it up. Right? Do it for a lobber.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Derek? Like, how does Gobert like? Do you give Gobert less minutes? Do you play better without him, or what's your thought there?
Yeah, like you've already said, it's so weird to think that like in the closing minutes of a game, if it's close, you take out the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
But I mean, when Luka's doing tons of pick and rolls, because you saw that on that one last play,
Yeah,
like, Gobert was like on skates. He
right.
couldn't really stay with him, which is so weird to me since you would have thought he would be okay. But no, he's good in the paint, I guess, but he can't really cover anyone. So maybe they need to stop voting him as defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree even with his win this year for it.
Yeah.
But that's what I was wondering. What Perk was getting at today is if he's not the defensive MP, then who is? I was trying to think of okay, who would be
I
like
mean, statistically, you probably should have given it to Wemby.
Yeah.
yeah
It's hard to give it to a rookie, but when you just break down stats, and then if you watch him play, I
yeah
mean, with the eye test, you would definitely
yeah
give it to Wemby. Like if you didn't know he was a rookie, right? And you didn't know anything about Gobert, you just watched the two of them play. Are you telling me you wouldn't give it to Wemby?
all right. Just shock value of his blocks, like just swatting dudes when you had no business swat. Like dudes are shooting threes and he's out there getting
Right.
a hand on shots.
But that's where we got to, look into also the voting parameters because we had
Yeah.
a guy from Greece vote Giannis first team and like left Brunson off completely and
Right.
Dawkins, he put Luka as like third team. And it's like, really? It's like, who are these people that are voting for this? Because, yeah, we're not going to vote Wimby because he's a rookie. Who cares?
Who cares? Right. That's
Yeah.
that's my problem with it, right? And then the other problem I have with this though is when you're talking about the voting, it happens with MVP too. It happens with defensive player, but it also you can't like then what do you can't go back to like a fan vote because look who they're voting into the All-Star games.
Right. You can't do a fan vote. I know.
So, what options do you have?
I don't know. I feel like it's if you're in the media and you have a vote, you better be like logging how many hours you've spent actually watching.
Right.
Because that's what happens with like the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. They're just like, oh, well, I got this, so I'm gonna just vote for whoever I want. And it's like it's all like hubris of all these writers. Like, oh, we're so smart. We don't even have to look at anything.
Dude,
And we're gonna vote these.
You just almost have to lock them in for the season, like lock them in somewhere so they can't go, and they watch all the games, and then they have nothing else better to do.
Right.
To watch
It's like a 2-day session, right? And you sit down and you're like, you're gonna watch this.
Well, I mean, think about it. It's just like the Heisman voting. Why no one from the West Coast wins? Because all these East Coast writers are dead by the time they play.
Right.
It's crap. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because I don't think they're getting the value out of Gobert that they need to, number one. And because of Dallas's play style, I think it's actually hurting them more than it's helping them for him to be playing a lot big minutes. Because you could play Dallas, with just Cat and sub Nas Reed for him, right? With your lineup, especially with Livelier. Like you're not in a bad position with Cat playing center. And then Nas Reed subbing in and out with him.
Yeah. It's true.
So I don't know. I've seen it. I think it hurts him a little bit. You gotta though. Edwards has been a little inconsistent throughout the series. Just like tonight, goes, 12 minutes after scoring 17, early. in an elimination game, you can't then go, 12 minutes without scoring.
Well, he's got to play both sides now because he either has to guard Luca or Kyrie, right? I
Yeah.
mean, when they were playing Denver, they're like, okay, you can guard KCP. You know, right? You're not going to have to exude a lot of energy. You could
Yeah.
take rests. You're not going to get able to rest when you got to guard either Luca or Kyrie.
Yeah, and I think this is where Jaden McDaniels really has to step up, which I don't really think in this series he has as much as he could. Like he hasn't played terrible, but he's a great defender. And I think you got to rely on him more to guard Luca. He's got to stay out of foul trouble, though, is the problem.
Yeah, they had foul trouble tonight, and they almost cost them. They were in foul trouble early. No, but
Well, I mean, given it's 3-1, I know, still, any chance Minnesota wins this series? I mean, I got to stick with them because I need them to go to the championship.
I think there's a very, very slim chance. I just don't see that. I mean, I think Dallas, they'll adjust. I mean, I think they're Luca and Kyrie just kind of handled the ball a little bit too much, held the ball too much, one-on-one basketball. I think they'll adjust. If it's not the next game, they better do it in Dallas. I think you'll see. I think they close out. I think they'll close it out next game.
Yeah. So I was talking to my buddy at work today. I was thinking game 6.
Yeah.
I think they go home and win game 5. They have a little momentum tonight. You go home. You can't get eliminated at home, right?
Pacers did.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute. But so Wes, you think there's a chance, but not likely. Any chance, Derek, Minnesota wins this series?
No, because if you even look, Kyrie and Luca both kind of didn't have that great of games. Are you really going to? And they only won by 5.
Yeah.
they were like 13 for 37 or 13 for 39, something like that. Like that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, the Ant though went 11 for 25 though after starting super hot. Only scored 12 after the first, 17 in the first quarter or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Urban did not shoot well. That's a problem. But you're not going to get 5 for 8 and 3 for 4 from Hardy very often.
Right. But they do have the Kleber is back now. He was missed the whole.
Yeah. He's a decent role player.
I'm surprised. I don't know if Tim Hardaway Jr. doesn't play anymore.
No, I haven't seen him since early in the playoffs.
That's crazy because at least he could hit some shots.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's not in rotation. I mean, just even for a few minutes.
I mean, is he a defensive liability though?
Who isn't? Is Luca?
I mean, you got to make your money somewhere in the NBA. I mean,
Yeah.
Play some freaking defense. It's called effort sometimes. Don't tell me that you're an NBA player and you can't play defense. Like, and your last name's Hardaway. You got to have some sort of ability here. You got to have a gift here.
I mean, he definitely is good, off the dribble, that mid-range shot, he hits that.
Yeah.
You definitely don't leave him open, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, not much chance at Minnesota here, so that might kill my finals prediction. I'm a little disappointed in how they played the first 3 games, though. Like I said, I thought they could have won a couple of those games. A lot of
Yeah.
turnovers late. Maybe that's that
know,
inexperience showing.
I was talking with the last couple days. I've been talking with people about it, and I'm kicking myself from because at the beginning of the year I was like, "What you're looking for odds here?" Like, and I was going to pick Dallas. But why not?
Yeah.
I mean, this could actually work. It was kind of a question mark last year if Kyrie could play second, play like 1B to Luca, how it would work. And then the role players, you just didn't know. They pick up Washington, that really helped them. And, they stepped up. So it's just like, why didn't I do it? Why didn't I pull the trigger on that?
Yeah. Well, they're getting a lot of work from the other players, right? They're a two-man team. Like when you really think about it, they're really a two-man team.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, even tonight, so this is what frustrated me a little bit about tonight's game, and then we'll move on to Boston. But Gobert plays 39 minutes and Nas Reed plays 20 minutes.
Yeah.
This is sixth man of the year. Dude, this guy's been hitting threes for you all playoffs, getting big rebounds, driving, good dunks, playing great defense. And you're gonna play him 20 minutes?
Well, no. That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
if we're going, the next gen stats, he was in the plus minus, he was a -10 when he was on the court, Nas Reed
Tonight.
tonight. Yeah. And Gobert was a +4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you when you're only playing 20 minutes, you're limited to the chances you get too. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a long road back for Minnesota. Let's jump over to Celtics, sweep the series.
Yeah.
I mean, I I gotta say this is kind of expected. I thought the Knicks had a much better chance than the Pacers. Pacers played well. I mean, they were winning at some times, like game 3 up by 18.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe this is just me, but did you guys feel like when you watch these games, it was almost like that time when the underdog is winning and feeling good, but you always just know that the favorite or the better team is going to
Sure.
come back.
Especially when they blew the first game. I mean, it could have changed the whole trajectory of the series if they would have won that first game. They completely blew that first game.
That shot though by Jaylen Brown in the corner.
Well, yeah. But it wouldn't even come to that if they would have been successful on either one of those inbound plays.
Yeah.
Like just throwing the ball, just the play they ran. It's like the game is over. They foul. You're gonna make one, maybe two of those free throws. You're up by 5 or 4. It changes the whole series. And Jaylen Brown hits a 3, and it's just the Pacers had chances, but I think Celtics did what they had to do, and now the whole talk is, well, did they have an easy road? And that's been the debate all day. Is well, they didn't really have a hard road in the finals.
Well, either the Pacers, look at the Pacers. They played the Bucks without Giannis and Lillard for most of the time. And they played the Knicks without OG and Brunson getting hurt 2 of the, the Pacers shouldn't even. And then you know what? And then karma, the Pacers, Halliburton gets hurt for the Pacers. So that's why they don't continue on. But I think, LeBron James made a career out of cakewalking through the East.
You're right.
No one talks about that because they don't talk about how easy his run to the East was. They only talk about who he played in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the East, and with you add in some injuries to the East, especially this year, That is an easy path.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly impressed with the Celtics because of the way they played against Indiana. You're not going to win that game against Dallas or Minnesota when you're down 18 and playing the way you're playing.
Yeah, but I think people forget the Boston's down a star player also who's coming back for the finals.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like Boston didn't have a really good player not play for them in the series.
Yeah. So how does that, they get the time to rest.
It helps Porzingis get healthy.
Right.
A revenge game for revenge series if it's the Mavericks.
Because the biggest thing right now is if you're Dallas or Minnesota and you're playing Boston right now, there's nothing in the middle they can do to stop you with either of those teams. But Porzingis comes back, and that gives you an extra body there, to play the guys like Cat and stop hopefully the lobs and things. But they need him to win the finals.
Hey, don't count out on Mr. Father Time himself, Al Horford.
The benefit to Horford is that he stretches the floor because he's such a good 3-point shooter.
Right. Yeah, he hit 7 threes in game 3.
Right. Well, because you can't. That's the thing is you cheat off him with your big guys, and he's gonna float, right? He's gonna float out to the 3-point line, and he's as good as a 3-point shooter as anybody on their team. But he's not your total or prototypical center
Right.
where he's, blocking shots and, he's not going to be great against these big guys back to the basket, things like
Right.
that.
But yeah, if you pair him with Porzingis,
Then you get that back.
yeah, because then he can bring Gobert or Cat, and Porzingis, both of them cannot be in the middle. They
Yeah.
both can shoot.
Yeah, that'll be big. That's a big return. And now they have time, right? Because now you just stretch it out at least a few more days minimum.
Right.
And let's say Minnesota goes back home and wins. Now you're stretching out maybe a week or more.
Well, yeah. I mean, it only helps the Celtics because Porzingis, I mean, gives them more rest, gives them to get back into, having them in practice on the floor, just being able to play with them at this point, getting back in that rhythm. Porzingis is big. Without Porzingis, to me, Dallas will beat the Celtics. With him, I think you got to give the advantage to Celtics.
The
Because-
Celtics have to shoot well from behind the 3-point line. I mean, anybody does, that's given, right? But
Yeah.
you're
For
not
sure.
gonna rebound like you did against a bigger team like
No.
Minnesota or Dallas as easily as you did against the Pacers.
Tatum has to shoot better from beyond 3. Pritchard has to be more of a factor shooting 3s. If Horford gets off, that's a big factor. If he start, if he's on and he's getting open looks, even though he's older and, in a sense, if they leave him open, But Tatum to me has to really play at an elite level and really put pressure on any team they play. It seems like Tatum and me is just not quite right. But these days, this rest is really going to help them.
Well, and I mean, do we need Tatum to be the superstar? Because it looks like Brown is.
Brown. Well, I think if you play the Mavericks, I think you need them both, because I think Luka.
You do.
Yeah. You need.
I don't think I agree with what you're saying, is that I think Brown, I don't think they take advantage of Brown's ability, especially in the post. Because he's good against any size player, especially the smaller guards in the post. Like you get him to catch the ball, 10, 12 feet away from the basket. Then if he can turn and face up, now he's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tricky defensive matchup.
He is. He's hard to guard.
Who's going to really guard him?
Right.
Because
Irving can't.
No.
Luka, we already know, he's not the greatest defender.
Yeah, you're basically probably just switching players a lot, putting Green maybe on him when he's out there. I mean, but still, he's going to abuse Washington. He's going to abuse pretty much,
well, then you have a problem with Drew Holiday too, because he's not the biggest, but he plays big.
He's 6'5", and people say, well, he's gonna have the assignment on Luka. But I mean, good luck anybody will have at that point. But you just want to containing Luka, to me, is tonight. He had 28 points. He had like 15 rebounds and 10 assists. And he got on he was in interviews like, I just didn't play well, not enough energy. I'm like, dude, you just had a triple double. But he didn't have enough points, But still, I think Kyrie had the bad night, dude.
Yeah, he did.
But have the Mavericks played anyone with the defensive capabilities of Drew Holiday? And that's the thing, is no one on the Mavericks has any defensive capabilities.
Right.
So you're thinking you're going to have Brown and Tatum go off. And for the Mavericks to win, Luka and Kyrie have to match. Yeah. But you have Drew Holiday, who doesn't have to put up the numbers like Kyrie or Luka, guarding one of those two. Yeah. That's why I still think, even without Porzingis, the Celtics win. Because who's going to stop anyone on the Celtics?
Well, I mean, the other thing with the Celtics is Derek White's a really good defender too. Like a really good defender. Like he leads the league in blocks as a guard for all guards.
Yeah.
So he's no slouch either, right? And he's pretty tall, right? He's 6'4" as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a challenge that way for Dallas, right? But we already know it doesn't matter who you put on Luka, right? He's gonna get his numbers. Kyrie, he's gonna have to shoot a high percentage. You can't let him get to the basket. You got to force him to those mid-range floaters, the step back threes. Like you gotta force him into that.
And the another factor is I think Washington's gonna have to have some big games.
Yeah.
I think Washington's gonna have to hit his threes. He's gonna have to get open looks and just abuse them from the 3-point line, like 25 to 30 points.
Well, look, he's hit big shots throughout this series.
Yeah.
That possibly is what has them up 3-1 is some of Washington's late threes. Because he's the guy they're leaving open.
Right. Well, and that's what happened today. Irving 6 of 18, 1 of 6 from threes. Washington 3 for 13, 2 of 9 for threes. Luka 7 of 21, 4 of 11 for threes. You can't have those numbers and win games. And they only lost by 5.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, every game in this series, when you think about it, it could have gone either way almost. Maybe game one, but maybe not that. But either way, like either of these teams could have won any of these games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Boston has a lot of talent. I question their ability though to win the game in the paint. That would be my fear of playing either of these teams.
Yeah. I mean, I think clearly Dallas is gonna have their way in the paint if this is the Celtic team they're gonna roll out. But again, it's all about hitting big shots.
Right.
I mean, that's serious. I mean, the Celtics have the ability to hit big shots and play good defense. They just got to do it. And yeah, I think if they don't have Porzingis, yeah, I think it's a coin flip. It just depends who hits the big shots.
Not Dallas. Boston did not impress me though in this series. When you think about game one against the Pacers, they should have lost probably. Game three, like how do you drop a 20-point lead in the second half if you're Indiana?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
go ahead, Wes.
well, at the end of the day, it's sweet. It's not like they played a 7-game series here. I mean, they did sweep. They did what was necessary. They stepped it up on the defensive end when they had to, and that's how their defense, how elite it can be. So I mean, I wasn't too impressed, but I
Yeah, they still swept them at the end of the day, right?
This one.
And being a Knicks fan, I know about the Pacers being pesky, but they also were streaky.
Yeah, they're very.
I mean, Nebhard, who shoots like looks horrible looking shots, and then I'm like, goes in. And I think that's what happened is they were doing well, and then they couldn't hit a shot because they were so streaky, and that's what happened.
Right.
I mean, that's the difference between teams that make a run in the playoffs and teams that make it to the finals. Is sooner or later, streakiness is going to end, and that's what happened to the Pacers. Plus, they couldn't sustain that lead either because they didn't have Halliburton. So they had no Siakam's good, but he's not your steady force.
Yeah, and he didn't particularly have a great series either.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the numbers, the way McConnell came in, and played some extra minutes, they didn't lose a lot. Maybe I think they lost more on the defensive end than they did on the offensive end.
Right.
Without Halliburton.
Well, I say when the Knicks series, it was Toppin and McConnell were the X factors for me. When they played well, the Pacers won. And all the injuries, but we won't go that part.
Yeah, it's a tough call here as it goes in the finals. Like it looks like it's going to be the Dallas and the Celtics, right? I mean, if we're just going based off odds, the odds say Minnesota's not going to win down 3-0, even though they win tonight. So you guys got to choose right now, Dallas Celtics. Who you taking?
I'm not switching from one I've had the whole time. Celtics.
The same with the Celtics. What are you taking, Wes?
I'm taking the Celtics too.
Yeah, I think when Wes you said if Porzingis comes back, I think I take the Celtics if he's playing. I think you have to take the Celtics. I think it's a much closer series if he's not full or can't play, all the games. Yeah, it does look like you got to take the Celtics here. So unless Minnesota comes back. If Minnesota somehow comes back and is the first team to come back from 3-0, there's some kind of destiny happening there, right?
Yeah, get swept by the Celtics.
Isn't that what the Red Sox did?
That's what the Red Sox, yeah, they came back on the Yankees and won the
And
World
then they
Series.
won the World Series, right?
Yeah.
So we may be seeing Boston redemption here for Minnesota. They'll be like, "Hey, Boston, you did this. We're gonna go do it back." I don't know. I don't know. Dallas for me it's tough because I don't think they have as deep of a roster as the Celtics. I actually think Minnesota has a deeper roster than Dallas. They're just younger. They're just making stupid mistakes.
Well, in the playoffs, you only need 8, really.
Yeah. Well, in some cases, 6 if you're the Knicks.
That's because that's the only players they had. Everyone else was hurt.
All right, so we're all going Celtics here then, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, rating the NBA playoffs so far. What do you guys think? 1 to 10, how the NBA playoffs been?
5. It started off good, but there was too many injuries, and then there were too many blowout games. And then these series, you know what I mean? It's just kind of been like, eh. I mean, you
It
haven't
was really
had that.
disappointing not to see some of the star players, right? The teams that make the teams who they are.
Right.
Yeah. I think the Pacers will ruin it for me in that respect. It's like I wanted the Knicks, and that was annoying. But I'd say it's a 6, somewhere around there. I don't like the blow. I can't stand the blowout games or teams just kind of like mailing it in. But
I mean, interested to see how the finals go, but even with Dallas going up 3-0 on Minnesota, I still think this was the Dallas Minnesota series has been fun to watch. I enjoyed watching Denver lose.
yeah,
I also enjoyed watching Phoenix lose.
yeah,
But
It
I
might
can't
be-
say that it's
might
been
be
a
a
great
7 for me now. We might bump that up to 7.
Yeah, I can't say it's been a great playoffs. Yeah, I'd probably say 6.
LeBron
It's
wins
not
it.
historically as good as it's been, in many years past, but you can't expect a lot.
Because I mean, it's been like, it's not the Stars, because the Stars were getting injured in the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, okay, the Bucks were out Giannis. Okay, Dame's gonna lead the way. Dame gets hurt. All right, the Cavs, right? Donovan Mitchell gets hurt. And it's not even just like,
And Halliburton gets hurt.
well, in the Knicks, it was OG got hurt and Brunson got hurt, but Brunson came back and then Brunson got hurt again. You know what I mean? And it's
Well, Kawhi doesn't play.
yeah, Kawhi doesn't play, but I guess we should be
Yeah.
used to that.
I was happy the Clippers lost too. Actually, maybe it is a 7 out of 10. A lot of my teams lost that I don't really care about.
Well, and Embiid played hurt.
Yeah, the
and he
injuries
played
are
at least.
the injuries. I still think it becomes a real problem when we start talking playoffs. Playoffs are supposed to. I know your moneymaker is the season, the regular season. I get that. That's where you're making your money here. But the playoffs just seems like these guys are gassed. I mean, Anthony Edwards, I know he expends a lot of energy, but he's also 22. He's gassed. Guys are getting hurt. I mean, Doncic is basically out there on one leg. And it's just, man, they play a lot of games.
Does
But
it
that's
have
what
though?
happens when you pay them all this money.
Think about it for a second. Maybe you can say the game's faster, whatever, more athletic, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not right in my, maybe this is anecdotal when I say it seems like when guys were playing 82 games, they were getting hurt less.
Yeah.
Well,
Does it not
that
feel like that? I mean, it feels like that to me that when guys were playing full seasons and not sitting out, all these games.
Well, that's why then you have, I think what it is, it's not about for the quality of play, it's for the longevity of players. So you had like Bird playing all those games, hurting his back, still playing. His career ended shortly. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So you're playing less years, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Jordan got burned out, quit for a few years. You know what I mean?
yeah. But
But I
then
also can't stand because it's all about money. But you know what? The first round should only be best of 5.
Yeah.
oh, totally. That's the first thing that needs to change is
100%.
they do not need to be playing freaking 7 games. 5 at the most. I mean, 5 they should, and I bet you it's gonna get to a point where they do go back to 5 games. Because it doesn't make any sense to have 7.
No, it doesn't. Not in the first round.
Money. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
look, the
I
NFL
think
wants to go to 18 games.
Yeah.
That's not for player safety. That's just for money.
Did you hear some of the reasoning behind that is because they want it to be around President's Day. So everyone has a day off the next day.
oh,
For the
that'd
Super
be
Bowl.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind that.
Everyone doesn't. Well, everyone doesn't have President's Day off.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of people do. Speaking of NFL, so let's move on from basketball for a second. So they're putting the chip inside the football, right?
I'm gonna get
So
rid
they've
of
been
line.
talking about this for years, and now they want to put the chip that's gonna tell them where the ball is, right, for first downs, for things like that. What do you guys think about that?
That's good. No more BS. Let's take a index card out and oh, don't be short.
Or like, I mean, because how many times have you seen a ref put the ball down a foot or 2 feet ahead or behind, obviously where the person was
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that seems like a good thing. How much of the automation and AI or whatever you want to call it, can you put into the games? Does
I
that
don't know.
does that hinder the game at all, or does that just continue to help?
I'm honestly like people think I might be old school, but I'm all for robot umpires for baseball. Get rid of as much.
Human error,
Yeah, because it's also bias error.
right? Well, I
So,
mean, how many betting sports scandals have we had?
mhm.
We don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem is we really don't know,
We
do we?
really don't know.
Because if you heard about it once, that means it's happened 100 times, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I like the idea of that. I like the idea of, if you have that, right, you could now put some kind of chip reader in the pylons. So then you could stop questioning, did the ball cross the plane?
All right.
So now you can take away some of that. What other kind of automation though? What do you guys think? This is the other question. So when I started thinking about this, I started thinking about the replay. Like why are we going to stopping the game, having the refs go down to some video booth when you can easily like come back from New York in 5 seconds and say, hey, this is what it is.
Right. Well, they do that on some plays already.
Yeah, there are specifics for that, but there are also still times where they're doing the three,
Yeah, I
five
mean, I'm
minute.
sorry. It's like who can? Yeah, the ref shouldn't be getting under a hood or anything. Someone should
Yeah.
be telling.
Yeah. So that kind of led me to that thought process. And I agree, like speeding up the game, not speeding up the game itself, but speeding up the things that slow down the game that are non-play related.
Yeah. Oh,
So that's I think that's positive for the NFL. And you mentioned baseball too, and there's room for that. There's a lot of room for that. I think basketball should have more reviews.
I don't know. These playoffs, there was tons of reviews. I'm like, this is stupid.
Well,
Why are
there's
we?
some challenges and reviews, but well, because dude, first of all, these guys travel all the time.
All that ever though?
Like they're just constantly traveling.
Oh, I know. I have you seen there's like little TikTok videos and it will just show them like going 4 or 5 steps.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
And
moving their pivot foots like 2 times,
Yeah.
like switching pivot foots.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, what a great Euro step. And you're like, no, that's a travel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that there's game stoppers, but yeah, I guess overall what I would say is there is room for more automation, and more of this, because we have the technology, that's the difference. It really bothers me to sit there at an NFL game and wait when you know what the call is. Like how many times we sit there, we're like, well, they're going to overturn this,
Right. Well,
and
how
yet
many
we're
times have
still
we
waiting.
saw it and it should be overturned or something? And they're like, no, it's play stands. And you're like, what did you see? That's why it should be coming from somewhere else.
Yeah. So let's see. So it's NFL. So another thing that I saw. So Ryan Clark. So have you guys seen this with the Tiki Barber interview?
No.
So Ryan Clark, I don't know if you guys watch him at all, but this guy drives me crazy. Like
Yeah.
he's like become like what everybody they think he's the expert on all of football and everything he says is gospel. And so that's one problem I want to talk about. But so he comes out and he talks about Tiki Barber and his relationship with him and his players and all this stuff. And then Tiki comes out and says, look, this guy doesn't know me like that. And like he doesn't know my relationships with my players, my coaches, the franchise, anything like that. And so it gets me kind of on this Ryan Clark like rabbit hole. It's like Kendrick Perkins. It's the same. They remind me the same way. It's like, dude, what makes you guys these experts?
Yeah. I don't know.
He's always on.
Ryan Clark's hard because he does do like the pivot with Brett Taylor and stuff. So he'll do more where he's more of a moderator type stuff. If I'm going to say anyone at ESPN is like Kendrick Perkins for football, it's Orlovsky. That guy, the dude that ran out of the end zone, is going to tell me he's a quarterback expert.
Well, I mean, he watches a lot of film. That's him. That's his thing is he watches film and he'll explain certain things. But when he starts getting opinionated, like not putting like his top 5 quarterbacks, like it's hideous, his top 5. Like, I don't know, I forgot where Montana was on that list. It was just like,
So I don't like Orlovsky a lot, but I do agree with what Wes is saying that he does like do a lot of game analysis. where when he says something, he tries to back it up. The problem I have with Ryan Clark is that I don't think he watches games. I think he's just out there just saying stuff. And it creates this, like, the media buzz, right? It's, you don't got to be right, you just got to be first kind of attitude. And it
Well,
ruins, like, for me, it ruins sports in a way that you get a lot of people that just listen to that.
that's how like ESPN and Fox are nowadays. They got rid of everyone that like knew, like talked and did stuff. Now you got like, who are the biggest ones? Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. What the bleep, right?
Skip Bayless.
Right? That's what you got. You got Shannon Sharp, you've got all these guys that just really want to get clicks.
The dude that has a meltdown about the Cowboys. Like, he's the funniest because I love when he melts down.
That is probably the best, is when you
Well,
but
you know, he's a huge Dallas fan.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and he thinks this is like the Starbuck or something. Like, dude, the era of the Cowboys. He doesn't realize he's in denial of what they really are. They're a joke. The Cowboys are a complete joke.
I mean, but gone are the days of like, you watch like PTI or something and they'll talk and say some outlandish stuff, but it's not anything clicky. To now, everything has to be clicky.
So that's exactly what I want. That's kind of what Tiki Barber was saying about Ryan Clark. He's like, you're saying this for views. You're saying this to be part of the narrative, whatever the current narrative is, or whatever they're telling you want it to be, or maybe you want it to be that. And so it's not even sports analysis anymore.
No. But then here's the thing: you have the group think, the NFL, the ESPN group think, almost like think tank. You have that where you're just having a regurgitation of basically the same ideas, and then you'll have some guy come out with the dumbest thing ever, like just off the wall, just to get likes, just to be relative. And you're just like, who the hell? Why would you say that? Oh, no, why? Because you want social media. You want to get yourself relevant on social media. You're just saying that because you just want people to fucking follow you.
Well, and it's almost like it's like live action clickbait is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It's live action clickbait. That's exactly what it is.
Well, I mean, rest in peace, Chris Mortensen. He would just be an insider.
Yeah.
He would just say stuff. But the other people now, they have to put their opinions into it too. And they have to, like, what was it? Schefter, like they came across stuff where he was like talking to the commanders, and they're like, oh, he was like working with them to get stuff put out for them.
Yeah. Well, because that's what it is. Like, because we talked about this with drafts, right? Stuff comes out to lower or raise draft stock, sometimes based on the team who really wants them or doesn't want somebody else to pick them at certain positions.
Right.
It's kind of the same with other
Yeah.
parts of the analysis.
Yeah.
Well, I know this is a little off topic, but it's still so funny. Like they talked to Sean Payton, and he was all like, oh, we put stuff out there to make it so people didn't think we were going to take Bo Nix. And I'm like,
you're an idiot.
Anyone really cared if you took Bo Nix?
Right.
Yeah. You're about the only one that would take him at 12. You're the only one that would take him at 12.
Dude, we knew you were taking Bo Nix as soon as they announced the draft.
Oh, we were saying it for months.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like you shocked the world or you're like, oh,
that was a smooth move there, dude. Like,
right. Like,
because
really
they're projecting Bo Nix.
Well, because he was all like, oh, we were putting out that we wanted other quarterbacks and we were going to trade up.
Stupid.
Because who else was going to take him, dude? Come on.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're going to move up and take JJ McCarthy? Is that what you're saying? We're going to put that out there? Like, we were going to move up? Like, it's just dumb. I don't know what's going on. There's all sorts of dumb stuff that these people that make a lot of money and have a lot of responsibility. It's just I don't understand it. Like, and I guarantee you, we're going to see some bizarre stuff this year. We're gonna be like, we're gonna be getting on and like, what the hell did they do? Why would they do that? You know, especially when it comes to paying players here. Like,
Okay, well, so that brings up two more topics. The first one is they're talking about Caleb Williams is now saying he's refusing to sign the rookie contract
no,
because he wants an actual
share.
contract.
Oh, he wants an actual. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't not shares of the team like all that bull crap before. What he wants, he wants an actual like normal contract.
Well, you got to take that up with the NFLPA because that's in the collective bargaining agreement.
Well, that's what everybody's. That's the whole thing. Is everybody's like, well, you have to take the rookie contract, right?
Yeah.
Is it Caleb Williams or is it his dad? Because I'm hearing a lot of things like his dad asks for lots of crazy stuff.
Right.
And
Which that's probably one and the same, right?
Yeah. It's always the dad. Jesus.
But there's always, what starts new things, right? There's always a starting point of getting rid of rookie contracts, right? Maybe, here's the starting point where you have the first rookie ever to be like, I want a regular contract.
Oh, of course he does because he's used to getting that NIL money.
Well, yeah, because he
And
wants
he's like,
20
dude,
million a year, not
he's
the
crap,
rookie.
dude. Like
He
I go
doesn't
to
want
the
the-
NFL, it's like, dude, I'm almost staying in college. I like my NIL contract would have been like 20 million.
Oh yeah. He would
Yeah.
have made a lot of money.
20 million he would have made. And it's like,
Yeah, that's so again, and this is you can't necessarily agree with or listen to all the talk though, because at the same point, you've seen about 17 clickbaits about him throwing 7 straight interceptions in rookie in camp, and it's like, well, that didn't happen. Or
yeah,
7-on-7.
Yeah, and I saw that and I'm like, that's not right. And then I saw it again with Patrick
With
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, and yeah, they kept just like clickbaiting it over and over again, but it just wouldn't put it past me though.
He might be wanting to get it because Drake May just signed a 4-year deal for 36 million, all guaranteed.
Right.
So they're probably going to look for like all guarantees. And I bet you signing bonuses and stuff don't count. So he probably will want like more of a signing bonus.
Right. That he's gonna like fight for a bigger signing bonus, more guaranteed money. And that's gonna get worse as it goes, right? But I think for me, when I think about this, is kind of like the start of a trend.
But I mean, the difference is say what you will, but Caleb Williams is kind of once in a generational talent, right?
Well, I mean, I hope.
You know what I mean? Like, I know there was the other stuff, but everyone knew he was the number one pick.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Here, it was Bryce Young, maybe. You know what I mean?
He's no Ryan Leaf, is what you're saying.
Well, he's no. Yeah, he's like. Well, Peyton Manning was a generational.
Yeah,
talent.
yeah. Right. And everybody knew it. Everybody knew it.
Maybe not, but everyone thought Trevor Lawrence was that, right? Like
I wouldn't put. I mean, would you put Trevor Lawrence next to Peyton Manning though? When you talk about that,
I mean, what didn't he win a national championship as a freshman? And pretty much like since his freshman year in college, they were like he's the number one pick.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see. I guess he's got a lot of talent, but he's a different kind of quarterback than a Peyton Manning.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, you knew like 2 or 3 years, like Caleb Williams, you knew 2 or 3 years ago, he'll be the number one pick.
He was going to be in the. Yeah, you knew that for years, for sure.
Like the Trevor Lawrence, you knew he was going to be the number one pick whenever he came out. Bryce Young, you didn't know if he was going to be the number one pick. Next year, you have no idea who's going to be the number one pick, right? I mean, So
I-
obviously, I mean,
I don't feel good about the next couple years of quarterbacks, to be honest with you.
right. But Shador is going to pretend like he is.
Right.
Dion's going to pretend like he's that. But
Well,
he's,
I mean, Carson Beck, dude, come on.
I know. They have him number one.
I know. I mean, tell me, when you watch Carson Beck play, are you like, this is a generational talent?
No, not at all. I mean,
I think
is
of
he
it
the number one pick? I mean,
Yeah, he
doesn't
might be the
look
number
like-
one pick, but he's not a
he doesn't
generational.
look like the number one pick when he plays.
well, just think
It
of that.
doesn't pop out.
Wouldn't you take Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, or Will Levis over Carson Beck?
Yeah, I would, 100%.
And then this year's, would you take pretty much all six of those quarterbacks before Carson Beck?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how bad it is.
Dude, I might take Spencer Rattler over Carson Beck.
Well, I mean,
We need to watch that Netflix show first before we'd make that decision.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, he wins the national title, he's the number one pick. You know,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not on the Carson Beck bandwagon.
Quinn Ewers.
yeah, I'm not. No, I'm not on the Quinn Ewers.
Yeah. No, I think this is a big year for quarterbacks because I'm not a huge fan of the next class. Two classes probably.
Right.
So that's going to be tough. But that was interesting. So let's talk. So the other one I want to talk about is fantasy football. So I heard this take, and I want to just kind of get your guys' take on this. Sam Laporta, number one tight end last year, tight end one, right? This guy's saying he's not worth a top third round pick. Wouldn't pick him in the first, second, or third round. So what do you guys think? I mean, because there's tight ends that have gone early historically, right? I mean, I've seen Kelsey going in the first round.
Yeah, but Kelsey's a number one receiver. He's not a tight end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
Laporta's good, but
coming off that rookie year, right? I mean, is he not worth a top 1, 2, 3 round? Like, are you not even
it's
taking
hard
him in the third round?
well, because you got Amon St. Brown there. You got Jamison Williams is back now, full season. And you got the two running backs, right? I mean, it's not like, Kelsey is and was Mahomes' number one. Mark Andrews is the number one, you know what I mean? They're number one receivers, not just number one tight ends.
But Laporta still finishes tight end one.
Yeah, last year, but
Right.
this is a new year. And
I
there's
mean,
different
your rookie
circumstances.
year, you tend to get better.
Yeah, they call the rookie walls something in the sophomore slump. I don't know. I'd have to look at because to me, I don't think it's as a valuable position as running back and wide receiver.
Dude, okay. If he was playing for the Patriots, absolutely. They don't have anybody. Like
Yeah.
he was from Laporta, dude.
Yeah.
Problem is, you got too many weapons there.
It's not
St.
like
Brown.
they didn't have all those weapons last year, though.
But Williams was hurt.
St. Brown was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
St. Brown, he's gonna be hurt a lot.
Yeah, I could say I could see a third round pick, but I wouldn't take him 1, 2. I mean, maybe
So
it just
then-
depends how.
If you have choice to take your tight end, are you taking Kelsey or Andrews before him?
Yeah, I would.
Because they're number one receivers. I know you're saying like Laporta had better numbers.
Right.
But that was because he had that touch, and then Kelsey had an off year. And Andrews was hurt.
Right.
It's hard for me to, because you're talking.
Well, you're not even talking George Kittle yet either, too.
Right. But Kittle's hard too because you've got all that with those weapons there too. Because you're already talking, like, think about the Niners. You're gonna Ayuk, Samuel Debo, and McCaffrey are all gonna go before Kittle.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so if you're looking at the Lions, don't you think St. Brown, Gibbs, and Montgomery would go before Laporta?
I don't know what Montgomery does.
Well, he's the touchdown vulture, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
But okay.
I'm not taking Montgomery before Laporta if it's just them. Like if you're just
But
saying
you would
what's
take Gibbs and Brown before Laporta.
yeah, yes. Especially Gibbs. Gibbs is gonna have a breakout year.
Right. On the Chiefs, is there anyone you're taking before Kelsey?
Not at this point, no.
And if I guess with the Ravens, you'd have Derrick Henry, right? And then
Yeah, you're definitely taking Henry before Andrews.
But
yeah, but you got a question, right? What are they going to do this year? That's always the question, especially with Kelsey, right? He's got a lot of distractions.
Right. But I mean, I would look at it this way in fantasy football. It's not about how good a player is, it's about your situation.
Yeah. How many
Most
touches?
of the time, you're going to be 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, right? And if you're in a 12-team league, you're going to go top 12 tight ends, right? So you get a top 12 tight end in a league of 30. But running back and receiver, if you don't take them early enough, you could be having like the 31st running back, or you know what I mean? It's kind of, that's why I love Laporta and he's a great player, but if I have a chance I'm gonna go with someone not like a top receiver, like a Devontae Smith or Laporta. I'm probably taking Devontae Smith. Or if I get like Josh Jacobs or Laporta,
Right.
I'm taking Josh Jacobs.
What about like Tennessee, whoever they start at running back?
Yeah.
Could be Pollard or Spears, probably. Yeah.
So you're taking them over Laporta too?
Yeah. I mean, what was Pollard? Wasn't he like a top 5 pick last year?
Yeah, but he did not have a good year.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. But again, what is Tennessee? I mean, Tennessee's got, they got Hopkins and
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, they signed Ridley this year, so
but still Pollard, you know Pollard's gonna get touches.
right.
This is Will Levis here. This isn't like Joe Montana. This dude, they need a running game to take the pressure off of him.
Yeah, so they got rid of Derrick Henry. That was smart.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think Levis throws the ball a lot more this year, actually.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I mean,
if you look at every team, almost all their number 1 rated receivers you take before Laporta, right? Almost every team. Maybe we're going to go at least 25 teams, right?
Yeah, you're probably taking the most.
So if you're talking a 12-team league and you're taking 25 just wide receivers, we're not talking like a T. Higgins or, you know what I mean? That's 25 picks. That's already 2 rounds. And we haven't even got into the running backs yet. How many running backs you're going to take before?
So how does what you're saying relate then to Kelsey?
Well, he's the number 1 wide receiver. He's not like a tight end. You got to think of Kelsey as he is the wide receiver.
Right. So you're saying forget last year because he wasn't a high point scorer last year.
Right.
And you kind of say wipe the slate clean. You think of Kelsey as a top first, second, or third round pick?
Yeah, because Rasheed Rice isn't going to be playing. So,
Well, they did get Hollywood and drafted Worthy, so they
right.
got
But do you
some.
really, you can't really trust rookie receivers. And has Hollywood really done anything?
No, but does that still, like, what I'm saying is, does that allow you then to say Kelsey now moves up to your top third three rounds?
Well,
Yeah, because I think Worthy and Hollywood are both just deep threats. Your Kelsey's still going to get all the touches.
yeah, you're inside the 30. Kelsey's going to touch the ball most likely, and it's probably going to be, and when then we're talking inside the 20. I mean, if you just look at the playoffs. Yes, did he have a good season? No, but it went back to form in the playoffs. He's looking for
I guess
Travis
so.
Kelce.
The issue I have though is we're saying Kelsey's a top receiver as well, yet he scored less points than Sam Laporta.
Well, that's because the Chiefs had an off year too.
They won the Super Bowl.
They had a off regular season though, dude. 3 weeks left in the season, there was a chance they might not win the division.
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely, well, nobody expected them to win the Super Bowl, I don't think.
And I mean, so you would take Laporta over Kelsey?
No, I mean, I don't. That's why we're having this exercise in the conversation.
I just look at it as touches. You're going to get Dan Campbell's a run heavy guy. So Gibbs and Montgomery are going to get a lot of touches.
Right.
And St. Brown's going to get a lot of touches. So then that means you're the fourth option on that team. Right?
And we're talking.
Would you take Zamir White over?
There is something also to be said, and I know this is a secondary argument, but there's also something to be said when you are surrounded by great players, meaning that they have to spend a lot of effort to stop them.
Yeah.
Now you become the lesser of the two evils, right?
But at the same thing, who was the number one tight end last year? So who's going to get more attention put on him?
That's the big question, right? That's
and we're giving them so much attention
anymore.
now, dude. They're going to be all over him this
right.
year. Way to go, Steve.
Yeah. Everybody's going to be like, did you hear that HSC podcast? We need to guard Sam Laporta. But I also know, I mean, just playing devil's advocate a little bit, that sometimes bodes well for you to have a lot of skilled players around you.
Right.
Because now you become, now you're getting guarded by one-on-one with a linebacker, which he's going to win a lot of times. So, and as we move towards more fantasy football talk, right? Getting ready to, we move into that later in the season here, in the summer.
Well, here's where I go. Okay. So going back to it's a 12-man league. Okay. In the ESPN 2024 PPR tight end rankings, you know who number 12 is? TJ Hawkinson.
Wow.
So would you rather get TJ Hawkinson in the 7th or 8th round or Laporta in the 3rd?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really particularly like him too much, but you kind of got to, right?
Right. And then, I mean, behind Hawkinson, okay, you still have, and I know he's a rookie, but you got Brock Bowers. You got Freiermuth from Pittsburgh, Cole Kmet.
Yeah, don't draft Freiermuth, dude.
But you got Kmet. You've got Dalton Schultz from the Texans.
You got Kittle, you got Kmet,
I mean, these are all people past 12.
Right.
Because they have Laporta, Kelsey, Andrews, McBride, who had a huge season last year. Ingram, Kittle, Njoku, Kincaid, Pitts, Ferguson, Dallas, Goddard, and then Hawkinson.
Yeah.
So that's the problem is
Well, Kincaid is a sneaky pick.
Right. And that's the thing is I feel like you can get value at tight end later
Yeah.
where you're not going to get value at running back in like the 6th or 7th round unless it's just some miracle that some people get hurt.
Well, unless you draft Mosier like I did.
HN.
No, yeah, I mean it's legitimate for sure. But there is something to be said for the points that he gave throughout the year, right?
Right.
And I know it's like quarterback for me, right? You can make this argument for quarterback all day. Like, wouldn't you just want to wait till the 7th or 8th round and draft next best quarterback, right? But then it's hard to like deny like Josh Allen's points
Right.
that he
Well,
gave throughout the year.
so here's um so 12 36. So if we're doing 12-man league here, I keep saying that, but looking at wide receiver rankings, 32 is Keenan Allen, 33 is Chris Godwin, 34 is Amari Cooper. Wouldn't you rather take one of those three than Laporta as a 3rd round pick and then get TJ Hawkinson in the
TJ,
6th
yeah.
round?
Yeah, most likely.
Because yeah, you're getting like Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Tyler Lockett, Hollywood Brown, all.
I mean, there's definitely some of those guys that I would say no to because Laporta was way more consistent, right?
But
But
that's the thing.
yeah, if
What
I'm
I'm
going to
trying
get
to say
Keenan
is,
Allen, that's it's. I think it's subject to the player.
well, what I'm trying to say is it's the positional value. So it might not be like, you know, Tyler Lockett probably won't put up more points than Laporta,
Right.
but if you draft Laporta in that spot and then in the 6th round you take your receiver, then it's going to be someone that might be the
Yeah, you're
3rd
saying the
option.
difference between what Hawkinson will score and what Laporta will score is less than the difference between what Keenan Allen will score and whoever you take 6th round wide receiver.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. So it could be like, oh, you can get Keenan Allen or you can get someone on the Patriots, right?
But
Yeah.
maybe that's a Calvin Ridley that you don't even know. Yeah, I mean, there's still factors, but yeah, I mean, I think I agree ultimately. Um, but who knows? I had success drafting tight ends before early.
Well, I know Joe, he had the year, I think he almost won. Did he win or won? It was a Yahoo League he did. He had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez and started them both.
Right.
And he made it to like the finals. I can't remember if he won it or not, but yeah,
Well, apparently the best thing you can do is just let the computer draft
yeah. And then don't change anything.
and then play your whole team for the rest of the season. That's fun. All right, so there's a lot of fantasy football. I thought it was an interesting topic to talk about, and we'll get well into fantasy football as we get closer to the season. Let's finish up here with our top five for the night. So this is a pretty tough one. So we're doing HSC top five. These are cartoon TV series that eventually became a movie as well. And that could have been a live action or an animated movie. Is that where we're at here? Is that everybody on the same page?
Yep.
This is a good one. And I gotta tell you, I had a big list. So, Derek, it's your top five. Why don't you lead us off at number five?
Number five, I'm going with 1993 classic because it's a comic book, but this is actually from the cartoon series. Then they made a movie out of it. I'm going Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
It was a comic though before it was a cartoon, right?
Yeah, but this was the Batman animated TV show
Right.
did this movie.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Batman.
Yeah, I mean, and if you haven't seen it, you need to check that one out.
I don't think I have seen it. There's a
Yeah.
couple that I came across where I was like, man, I love this cartoon series, and then I hadn't seen the actual movie.
Well, and I mean, take it for what it's worth, though, but like IMDb has it as a 7.8 out of 10, which is a
Yeah.
pretty big,
That's a good score for IMDb.
yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of your top ones on them are like 8.1.
Right.
All right, number five, Wes, what do you got?
Beavis and Butthead.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they were on my list.
It was on my list too.
It just, yeah.
You know, so tell what's your favorite part about both, like movie and TV show? Because I have something to say on this too.
It's just all I know is the movie. I mean, I haven't seen the movie in like 10 years, but it's just you can't you get lost in just the dumb jokes all the time, and it seems stupid to laugh at, but it is pretty funny.
The movie's great.
Yeah, the movie I haven't seen in a while. I've seen it once.
Yeah, if you think about it, like, Beavis and Butthead Do America, there's so many good scenes in it. But I think the original show is missed out on like what it was when it came out, and when they used to watch the videos. Remember, they used to watch these old rock videos and then like have it in the cartoon.
It was basically Mystery Science Theater, but for obscure
Animated.
rock videos.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they had all these old school rock videos. So it was like you're watching these rock videos from MTV, but then it was a cartoon. And I think that was missed out on the show of what made that show good. But it was hard for me to put my top five because it's still Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
So number five, I got the Flintstones because you have a great cartoon, the classic as a kid, and then not the best movie, but when you talk about John Goodman and Rick Moranis, it was good. It was a live action too, which I enjoy when they turn the animation into live action, and I like that when they do that with the movies. And so it was a good enough movie with a great cartoon. So I got that in the top five.
Well, and John Goodman was a perfect Fred Flintstone.
Right. Yeah. I don't know that Rick Moranis played the best Barney, but
I think, if you wanted to, like, Stephen Baldwin in the second one was a better Barney.
almost better. Yeah. Because he was just had that like kind of dumb.
Yeah. Oh, Barney.
So I snuck the Flintstones in there. All right, number four, Wes. What do you got at four?
And this is pretty dumb too, but it's Scooby Doo. I don't care. I like the movie. It's kind of dumb.
They have
Matthew
multiple
Blair.
movies, right? So you have a lot.
It's just
Freddie
they're
Prinze
still
Jr.,
going
bro.
hot. Like, I mean, you even have Rowan Atkinson in it.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I put a lot of weight also into the cartoon as well when I was thinking about these. Like
I love the
it had to be good cartoon and good
Yeah.
movie.
Well, for me, I think that's like the Scooby-Doo is almost a perfect cast from cartoon to movie.
Oh yeah, great cast. Yeah, did a real good job there.
And then Matthew Lillard voiced Shaggy after it. So it's like,
Scooby Doo is good. I like that. Number 4 for me, I have South Park. What a show, and how long this has been on, and they still don't stop these days. Like just going hard. I don't know if you've seen some of the new stuff, but man, they're going hard.
I haven't seen the new season.
Dude, do you have
Well,
Paramount Plus?
No, I don't.
Get Paramount Plus and if just do the free trial and just watch
Okay.
what's on there.
well,
Man,
the last one I saw was the Pandaverse.
oh
And
god, man.
So
No,
bad.
it's wild. The weight loss
Oh,
one,
yes.
and I don't want to say any more because I'll probably like take it down, our video down, but that one is insane. But the movie though, it's one of the better renditions of a really great series into a really good movie that I don't know, like I think everybody like watched that when it came out, right? Like it was kind of
Yeah.
big for all like a lot of ages. So I had to put them in there. And there is it's hard to find a better show than South Park was for a long time there. There was probably a good 10 years there where they were just killing the game.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got for it, Eric?
From 1980, I'm going with Popeye.
Popeye.
Robin Williams as Popeye.
Yeah.
Shelley Duvall as Olive Oil, and the guy that played Brutus was perfect. I loved Popeye as a kid, and I still do. Robin Williams put a lot of effort into playing Popeye.
I actually really liked the movie more than I liked I enjoyed the cartoon as a kid, of course. But I did like the movie more than the cartoon personally. Did you ever hear the story of Popeye? Like how it became a TV show
No,
or a cartoon?
was that to get people to buy spinach?
No, so there was this guy, he was like Eastern European or something, and like migrated over here, like joined the Navy, came out of the Navy and was like this looked just like Popeye with these huge forearms and like tell these stories to all the kids about his Navy experience and how he ate spinach to stay strong. And then like made it into a show. There's more to the story. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but it was really interesting read.
He's strong to the finish because
Yeah.
he eats his spinach.
Like maybe that's all he had to eat was spinach.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Great show, pretty good rendition. Actually enjoyed the live action version of this, and it's still going.
Which Ninja Turtles movie?
I mean, the third one I think was probably the best.
Turtles in Time?
Yeah, I liked it. Thought it was great. I mean, I liked them all, but I love the again, I like that transition from anime to live action where you don't lose a lot of the story.
Right.
Like it still feels like, you're watching the cartoon. And so I think they did a good job at that. I actually enjoyed them all. Then they made a great video game. And then like now, even nowadays, right? You still got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, new movies,
Yeah.
kind of timeless almost. So got them at 3.
Well, my 3, I'm like Wes, but different. Mine is Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Because, my son loves Scooby-Doo, so we've watched both of them many times, but he and I enjoy the second one more because it has more of a nod to the cartoon because it has a bunch of the characters like the 10,000 volt ghost and the Black Knight and Miner 49er, like character, like actual villains coming
That were
back.
in the cartoons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the first one I think was more Hollywooded, right? And the second one was more try to go more of the show.
Yeah.
Both of them are good though.
Yeah.
So I'm down with that. All right, Wes, what do you got at 3?
Yeah, G.I. Joe. G.I.
Nothing wrong
Joe
with
is
that.
when the second one movie with The Rock and Bruce Willis, and it's pretty cool. Any movie with Bruce Willis in it.
Yeah, I mean, you got The Rock in there, and then G.I. Joe, the show, the cartoon. Like, come on,
Yeah,
so
I think
good.
I watched it every day.
Like all the time.
Yo, Joe.
If it was on,
I
we were
sent
watching
you
it.
guys today? Did
What?
you look at what I sent you guys today?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it yet.
Dude,
Okay.
everybody wanted the aircraft carrier, dude.
USS Black. The thing was, I think it was like $500 back
Yeah,
then.
it's like 8 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet long, dude. Like takes up your whole bedroom. Yeah, if you don't have that, dude, you're not in it. That's good. And I'll tell you, I took G.I. Joe out of my top 5. It just didn't quite make it. It was right
Yeah.
there though.
The first one I hated so much
Yeah, like the first one.
Yeah, I agree.
because I'm like, you don't even know these characters at all. And then the second one was better.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that you kind of see that sometimes in these cartoon renditions because the first one they're making for the popcorn aspect of bringing people into movie theaters and paying off their budget and hitting their box office. Not focused enough on the story. All right, number 2, Derek, you got.
And I'm following you, Steve, except with a different one. I'm going with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the
Yeah.
first movie. Because like with that one, they actually it was dark.
Yeah, it
Lucy
was.
Jones and everything. They actually lightened for the second movie, they lightened it up and like you didn't get to see like Leonardo's katana very much because they didn't want to see like sharp blades. And I liked Judith Hogue better as April O'Neil
Yeah.
than the other lady they got to replace her.
Yeah, one was great. But then for me, it is the cartoon though.
Right.
Like as good as the movies were, like you have a hard time finding a better cartoon than the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And when we do cartoon theme songs, how
Yeah,
can
I
we
mean, it's
have-
got to be up there, right?
Yeah. And I I vaguely remember I love the first movie, but I haven't seen it in so many years. But I remember it being dark. That's
Right.
one thing.
That's all you remember is you
Yeah.
remember darkness and like these
Yeah.
semi-human looking turtles.
Yeah.
Well, and then, thinking about it back then, Joe and I went to go see it in the theater, right? And it was sold out.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore.
No, you don't. No, I definitely saw that multiple times. I mean, I saw them all. I was a big fan of the cartoon. When I was a kid, I loved that. All right, Wes, what do you got at 2?
It's South Park. It's South Park just because the movie itself is just insane and hilarious and epic. I mean,
Oh, good.
it's so funny. I mean,
The old ones, though, the old ones are so good.
yeah. It's just
They're a little over the top now.
yeah.
The football one with the
Oh,
announcer.
There's some lines in that one that we can't say on the podcast.
I know. It's just
But it's not just that, it's like all of that, dude. Like they just kept coming at you with new and unique stuff. That's what it was.
Like just going to war with Canada and
Oh
internment
God, dude.
camps, and it's just like it's
And
just
then like the whole Satan storyline,
Saddam
like
Hussein and
and Saddam Hussein. God, I'm like,
and
come on, guys.
Kenny comes back as a ghost to warn everybody, dude.
It's so good. Those guys are geniuses.
They are geniuses.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. Mine too is super unique because I don't know that a lot of people seen it. I'm sure you guys have, but the He-Man is,
Oh,
and then the Masters of the Universe movie is
dude,
so good.
I know, dude.
bad.
Dude, that's the thing though. Like it's 80s, it's so bad, it's good, dude. And like
Skeletor.
right. And then he comes down in the movie in his like floating, whatever you want to call it, dude. And like, but they, because you imagine trying to make that cartoon into a movie back then. And I love it, dude. I love that movie. I watched that movie over and over again. I've seen it 100 times.
I've seen it like 40.
Yeah, it's
We
so
used to
good.
watch it all the time.
And then the cartoon, of course, like when we were kids, like what was better than He-Man?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's the again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the rendition of a cartoon into a live action and and then how they like integrate it into like coming to like Earth through the
yeah.
through the thing that they have to play the music to open the portal. Like, dude,
Yeah.
it's so good.
And it's so off the wall.
It
I remember
is.
watching it in theater. I'm like, what is this? What's this thing like?
Oh man, I love it. I love it. It could easily be number one for me, but I'm not gonna tell number one and can't spoil because I think we're gonna be all the same. But
I think so.
it's like I said, it goes over some of the things that most people, like even Derek, are like, wow, but for me, it's like a great movie.
I think
And
for me
people
it
that
was
never seen it. Can you imagine people that have never seen it?
No, and then you show it to them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it was too far away from the cartoon. I was like, man, why are you like having guns? It's like use your swords and stuff. Only Man at Arms has guns.
Yeah, but you have to come to Earth, dude, and then like, what are you gonna do when the guys have guns at Earth? Dude, you gonna use your sword on them?
Yeah, because you're badass He-Man.
It's he,
you got
man.
you got the cops and things like that, dude. You gotta.
And you got Evil Lynn, and she using her sorcery spells on him. So
I loved it. So I bumped it up because it's one of my favorite, dude. I will watch it anytime. If it's on, I'm watching it. All right, number one. Wes, what do you got?
Transformers. Man.
Killing the suspense here.
Yeah, that's a real shocker, isn't it? The only thing is, honestly, Transformers the movie is like my favorite until they all get killed off. And then I'm like, what?
That was like 5 minutes, Wes.
It was like, dude, it was awesome because it's like, oh man, there's gonna be a lot of people that die. Oh, wait a minute. Everybody died.
But the movie itself, like all the movies,
Yeah.
they're just really good.
Yeah, some are better than the others. But I mean,
Well, I mean, sometimes you just make too many movies.
yeah. But the technology, I mean, just the quality of the movies, yeah. You know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have Transformers at one as well. The quality of the cartoon and the movie together, like when you think about both, like
Yeah.
it's unbeatable for this type of category. Because one, it was probably the best cartoon ever made. And then to make high quality movies with it, it's really hard for me to see any other one there in that category.
And this is like exhibit A, like our us like Gen X Xennial people are the way we are. Because what other generation would you go to a movie theater to see your beloved cartoon characters get killed?
Right.
Back then, there were no movie reviews. Like, it was my 8th birthday. We took like 10 kids to the theater. They were like, this is awesome. And we're all speechless 20 minutes. Like, dude, you can't kill Optimus Prime. He can't die. This is crap.
Well,
dude, I was like in shock. I was
Yeah.
like, and now I was like, it's kind of cool. But that far, then the rest of the characters, I don't care. I'm not going to buy those characters. I don't care.
You're not going to buy Hot Rod or Rodimus Prime because it's two
Oh,
different
man.
things you have to buy.
Actually, I think I eventually did. I think I broke down. They brainwashed me into getting my aunt to buy it for my birthday. I don't remember. I think I have it upstairs. So
dude, I played Starscreech more than anything, or Starscream, whatever his name is, dude. That's because that was the first one I got.
And the quality, dude, that thing was metal. It was well made. All those toys were well made, except the new ones.
Yeah, because
The
Grace
new Optimus Prime.
he's got 2 containers full of Transformers from the newer ones.
Yeah.
And they're all, I mean, the one cool thing about them now is like they transform and look like a robot, or like, like when you transformed Ironhide, you're like, he doesn't look like anything. But yeah. I had a what was it? Slag or Snarl? No, not Snarl. One of the Dinobots. He took it outside, left it on a truck, and the truck drove away.
Oh man.
And it was like it was nice metal one too. And I'm like, dude. So of course I had to buy a new one.
Right.
But then it looked the same, but it wasn't the same. It was
plastic. No, I finally then got an Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
So I had an Optimus Prime, which was the coolest, right? Because it was the 18-wheeler and popped off, and then he turned into the robot. And then the guy that you could put the tape in.
Soundwave,
right? That was awesome because you had a little flying thing that was the tape. Yeah, that was cool too.
And Soundwave was the coolest because he transformed into a
boombox.
Yeah, and then he had little tapes, and then they came out with Blaster for that movie, and he was he was like a ghetto blaster
Right.
boombox.
It was great though. Like I don't know if you guys remember like waking up every day to go and watch Transformers in the morning before we went to school. That was a must. Like I can't get Brooklyn up before noon sometimes.
You know, with Grayson, no, he'll wake up like at 5 a.m. and start talking about like Sonic the Hedgehog or Pokemon. I'm like, what do you think's going on? I'm like, dude, go back to sleep.
Yeah, that was it's hard to beat that. There's a lot of options, but Transformers has to be. And they did a really good job with the live action movies. And Megan Fox, she's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it helps me.
I will say though, I like the Bumblebee the best of the
The
live action.
Bumblebee is
Bumblebee movie. Yeah.
Because they
Well, I mean,
actually
he kind of
look like the cartoon characters too.
he also made the first movie, I think, too, right?
No, Michael Bay did them all, and then Bumblebee.
No, Bumblebee. I mean,
Huh?
the Transformer. Like he made the movie, like he stole the
Right.
movie
Yeah.
as the character. I mean, not the producers or anything. I mean, the character Bumblebee
Right.
steals the first movie and like kind of creates that stardom around Bumblebee for the whole series, really. Because he's really kind of the star of the movie almost.
Right.
Because he's the one that, you know, meets him and like becomes friends with him and, integrates with the humans. So I think we're all unanimous on that one.
Yeah.
Big surprise there. I kind of knew that was
Here's a
coming.
little tidbit though. G.I. Joe, the movie, the cartoon movie, originally was going to kill Duke off. But since there was so much backlash about Optimus Prime dying, that they only put him in a coma and he survived.
He decided not to kill Duke, huh?
But think about that. They would have killed off Optimus Prime and Duke within like a year of each other.
Dude, these people are
That's brutal.
dark. These are dark. I mean, the 80s, you always think 80s is the popcorn, all this stuff. It was still, there had a lot of dark stuff in the 80s.
Well, you think about like, what are you doing to us?
They're just trying to scar us.
They're killing all your icons.
It's like, dude.
I mean, what everyone talks about, like the biggest scar is like Never Ending Story, right?
Right.
No, the worst for me was when they almost killed off Johnny 5 in Short Circuit 2.
Oh,
Dude, I was like, no, you can't kill off Johnny 5.
he's alive.
He's alive.
You don't see it like you used to back in the day,
No.
man. You had to have thick skin.
Jaws was PG. Come on.
Oh, that's funny. I have Jaws on. I taped it a couple weeks ago. I have it on right now. It's like the worst part.
I can't
I was
even
like, what's all
watch
the
it.
yelling?
I mean, it's like,
Dude,
don't they
that
kill
thing-
like a boy in like the first like 10 minutes or something?
Right.
I keep watching it because I'm like, dude, this is dark. Like I can hardly watch the first scene where the girl gets killed. That's bad. The way she yells, like
Yeah, and the skier.
yeah. Well,
Is that Jaws 2 or 1?
No, that's 2.
That's
It's
2,
2,
right?
too.
Where she's skiing and then he goes and attacks the boat. Kills the girl.
Is that 3?
No, I think that's
Is
2.
Michael Caine in it?
Does the shark take it personally?
That's 4, dude.
4's the worst. Remember, what movie where they did Jaws like 20? They made fun of it like in the future.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future 2?
Right.
Dude, They stopped at 4. That's funny because they're like, no, we're not even doing anything Jaws related after 4.
Right.
It's a wrap.
Jaws
It's so bad.
Revenge.
Well, it's not like Friday the 13th, dude. Jason goes to space.
No. What?
You didn't know about that?
You
No.
never was that?
No.
Is that Friday the 13th 10?
Probably.
I think it's
Probably
10.
Well,
think
gosh,
it's-
because like Takes Manhattan was like in 86, 87, and that was
No,
like
that was
what?
like 7, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think Takes Manhattan was 7 or 8. The 6 would be the return, right? After 5. Yeah, Manhattan had to be 7 or 8.
Cheers.
it was 8, and that was 1989. You
That's
already had
crazy.
8.
But even that, man, that was brutal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was, you see, that's funny. Yeah. So that was but we were how old? We were 11 watching it. Yeah,
Yeah, try passing that one over on Caitlin. Okay,
yeah,
we're gonna
Jason,
watch.
yeah, Jason X. Yeah, as Jason in space is
Jason
he's
N.
cryogenically frozen at the beginning of the 21st century and is discovered in the 25th century and taken to space.
Dude, so good.
Uh,
I mean, there was nothing like 80s.
but that was 2001, so they took a lot of time off before
Right.
Jeez, I don't remember that.
Oh, it's hilarious, dude.
I'm
Well,
looking
you
at
gotta admit, there's nothing like old 80s movies and series. Even if they kept making them, dude, they were still great. I was watching Lethal Weapon 2 the other night.
Mm-hmm. I love those both too. I watch it all the time.
Oh, it's so good.
every
It's so-
single Rambo is great.
Oh yeah,
They're
Rambo.
always on. All 3 of them are on. All the
Lethal
time.
Weapon, I mean, obviously Die Hards, but yeah, we've talked about this a million times, but they're so good.
Wes, there's 5 Rambos.
Well, I'm just saying the ones that are on TV all the time.
Right.
They don't have the John Rambo and then the last one on a lot.
Yeah, you don't see those a lot.
Every day, I swear those 3 Rambos are on.
It's like Rocky, dude.
Yeah.
You don't see the later Rockies, but you always see the earlier Rockies all the time.
I tell you what in the Rambo must have been 4, where he's in Myanmar, Burma,
Yeah.
and he just annihilates.
Dude, that is the best trailer ever. The freaking John Rambo one is the best trailer ever. You're just like, what the hell is this? And in the trailer, he shows them like blowing people up.
Right.
Like, you're like, what?
It's because it's Rambo, dude. You know what? You know that stemmed from he probably got to the end of Rambo 1 or near the end when Brian Dennehy is like, you call this guy the baddest guy ever, and then he's like, I'll show you in 2, 3, and 4 and 5.
No, he did basically destroy that town. That was pretty.
I know, but that's just the greatest part though, when they think they killed him and
Yeah.
then he comes down, he's like, and the whole time you're just thinking, you're like, oh man, he's gonna get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Rambo. Rambo's great, dude. But all those guys, I mean, Terminators, Rambos, like they don't make movies like that anymore. Just can't find it, dude.
Then we get like 10 avatars, and we're like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's even like the John Wicks, right? Like, I know people love John Wick, but
it's kind of senseless, and I'll watch a little bit of it. It's just too much.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like,
it's
there's nothing to this. Like,
it's over the top a little, right? There's not a lot of
a
substance
lot.
in it, and there's not a lot of like old cinematography, like really like planning scenes, and like they had to work on that.
Well, and then Wes, you said this a few years ago. All the action stars are in their like 50s,
Or
right?
60s.
Or yeah, you got Keanu Reeves, Denzel Washington, Liam Neeson, right? I'm like,
Dude,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise like 60.
Yeah. We were just looking at the other day. I was like,
it's
the
like
dude
where
still looks like he's 40.
are all the 20-something action stars?
Don't exist, dude.
They're just different. It's a different generation. They're too they're too there's too much of, everyone has to be conscious of what you say. You
Right.
can't be an action star. You can't be just kill bad guys anymore. There has to be some sort of like, you have to be thoughtful. It's like,
Right.
no,
You
dude,
can't just
Rambo is not thoughtful.
right, you can't just write a script based on like just
Yeah.
this is gonna happen, right? You have to think about like how that's gonna play out and what the consequences and all those things, where back then you just wrote it, you're like, now he's just gonna do this,
Yeah.
and we don't care
Yeah.
what the outcome is.
Remember when I say I'd kill you last?
Dude, somebody's talking about Arnold the other day, and when you think about Arnold, like this guy achieved greatness in three aspects, right? In weightlifting, in movies, and then in politics. He really achieved a pinnacle on almost all three of those. Like maybe you say the politics, not quite, but he was still governor of California, right?
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't be president. He wasn't born here,
Right.
so
So that's almost as high as you can go, right? And obviously he was one of the greatest actors or one of the biggest actors. And then like the number one weightlifter or
right.
bodybuilder, really,
Bodybuilding.
and so like this guy achieved greatness in three aspects of his life. That's intense, dude. It's more impressive than like people are like, oh, Arnold, whatever, get to the chopper, making fun of him, where it's like, dude, this guy killed it. So he was great. I love that analogy and that like just breakdown of him achieving those. All right, well, before we talk movies all night, we'll put more top fives in later. So we'll wrap it up here. Hopefully, Wes, you can remember yours. Top five,
Oh my,
top five cartoon series to movies,
um,
whether it's live action, whatever it is. I'll give mine. Got number five. I have Flintstones. Four, South Park. Three, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Four or two, He-Man. Number one, Transformers.
I got 5, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, 4, Popeye, 3, Scooby-Doo, 2, Monsters Unleashed, 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and 1, Transformers the movie.
I got Beavis and Butthead 5, Scooby Doo 4, G.I. Joe 3, South Park 2, and Transformers 1.
That's a good list. So that's our top fives. So I'll get back, try to get some of these into some shorts. People can see that and just don't have to listen to us for a couple hours and just hear our top fives. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.